Ladies and gentlemen, I am back in the shed for another BKXC podcast for December. These are really my favorite thing to do. I love answering your questions. I love going on epic rants, and I'm glad to have you here making this whole thing possible. A little housekeeping right off the top. I've got a spot open on the Chasing Epic group trip to Fruita. Fruita was my favorite spot that I've ever done a Chasing Epic trip because the trails are just hard enough to get people to kind of get better on the bike, and the food is great. Just all the different things are very, very solid. I'm sure we'll have a great crew. Chasing Epic trips, there's always a couple people that sign up and then they get hurt and whatever happens. So if you are interested, if you've thought about this, check out the link in the description. I think it's very, very well worth the travel and the making it happen. Just get out there. Just go ride. Come along with me. I always try to start these things off with a couple book recommendations. I'm big into the audiobooks, and one that I listened to this month was called Amusing Ourselves to Death, and it's really, really interesting about politics. It was written in the 80s, and it was about how television basically has made our political discourse completely frivolous, and that the people who are more attractive and the people who are more kind of dynamic are the ones who are going to take over and win elections. And we've totally seen that celebrity culture is totally taking over our politics, and it's so interesting. So check that book out. It's like it's hard to describe because it's so dense and so good, and you feel like you're learning. It's like really good philosophy. It's really good, just a good argument, and it's good to have your mind expanded. I don't read enough books like this that challenge your beliefs, that kind of show you something that you've never seen before. Highly, highly recommended in book form or audiobook form. It's superb. Another one I listened to was Catch and Kill by Ronan Farrow, and this is the whole Me Too movement, the whole thing where he was trying to report on stories of sexual abuse and kind of sexual misconduct inside different companies, and he worked for NBC, and they kept squashing the story and saying, oh, no, we're not going to do this Harvey Weinstein thing. It's not good. And just really interesting how, you know, the world is so small that all these people were friends, and they didn't want to really ruffle these feathers because this happens over here. If we do this, then the Universal will be mad at us because it's NBC Universal. And just really, really interesting and sad. Just so sad that scumbags protect scumbags and powerful people protect powerful people. I'm all for giving people the benefit of the doubt, but oh my God, when it's so many stories and anecdotes and payoffs and just scumbags, man. It's sad to think that there's a world of scumbags out there getting away with things, and at least this book is hopefully cutting into that a little bit, and the pendulum will start swinging the other way where everybody's going to get accused of everything and everyone's going to get taken down, but hopefully it'll kind of swing back to moderateness as well. And if you're looking for a Christmas gift for someone, if you're looking to ask for a Christmas gift or you want to give a Christmas gift, I have the perfect book for you. It's called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. It was my pretty much all-time favorite book. Last year I gave it to my uncle Dennis for Christmas, and he really enjoyed it. It's basically about this guy who has built himself up to be so amazingly strong, and he does tons of ultra marathon 100-mile races, and he's this paragon of indestructibility. And he talks about how fragile he was starting out and how he was so broken and how he was so scared and how he used that to fuel himself to become who he is. And it's just this awesome story. I should probably listen to it again right now. Like once a year, I should try to listen to that audiobook because it's fantastic. It's great in hardback. I don't know if it's on paperback yet, but if you've got a person in mind who could really benefit by reading that book, David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me. Link in the description. So another topic of discussion, I had mentioned that the Spain stuff really has like the all-time low, not all-time low, but very, very low comments. And everyone was like, hey, it's like, hey, I forget to comment. Don't feel bad. When I talk about comments, I also talk about views. So it's very much nobody's interested. And the people who are interested, there's always going to be a good contingent of my people who are watching my stuff and interested in it. The people listening to this podcast. I'm sure all of you listen to it or watch those videos. But, you know, when I've got 1,600 patrons, maybe 1,300, they're actually paying the $3 a month, and only 400 people watch a video. It's like, that's not good. And that signals pretty much to me that the YouTube version is going to do bad. And it's just good feedback. You know, I'm not raising the alarm. I'm just kind of putting it out there that I know that most of you guys aren't interested and that it's kind of a meh thing. So it just gives me a feedback loop. For me, it's like my brother is the ultimate yardstick. He doesn't care about any of the Spain stuff. Like, there's no reason for him to watch. He hasn't watched any of the Spain stuff. He doesn't care. So I need to make sure that I make videos that people care about, or I'm going back to work somewhere. I'm going to have to go put my application back at potsandpans.com. It's not a freak out. I don't need you guys to be like, oh, no, it's okay. I'm just putting it out there. I'm just very self-aware, and you cannot succeed in the entertainment business. I'm in show business. This is like, I don't know what you guys might think it is, but this is show business. You have to be self-reflective. You have to be honest with yourself. You can't be, okay, this is what I do, and this is the only thing that I'm ever going to do. You have to know, like, when you're starting to be stale. And I was kind of trapped in Spain. So those are the videos that are going to come out, whether they're stale or not. It is what it is. I can't course correct while I'm in Spain. So it is what it is. I'll keep doing great videos and trying to make my way to get better and better. That's what it's all about. But I like being transparent. I don't like complaining. I don't like being like, oh, the camera and all that stuff. Like you see very often in other videos. I just want to be transparent to know, like, hey, I know this is happening. I'm going to try to change and try to make it for the better. The van is alive. Holy moly. Van video coming very soon. I think Tuesday will be the van build video, and I'll show off all the little things that I've got on there. Me and my dad are hard at work. So cool. Like, it's going to be so good. Just that feeling of when the van got built out, Colorado Springs, and I had all my stuff in the back. And it was, very messy and disorganized, and everything was just kind of flopping around. But it felt so comfortable. It didn't feel super cramped. I had all my clothes. I had everything back there. And just, the van is great. It's really quite great. Haven't slept in it yet, though. I'm too scared. It's been too cold to go out there and sleep in it. I've laid down in the bed, and it's nice. It feels good. So we'll get there. I'll report back when I actually sleep in the thing. I'll tell you one thing, though. It's very easy to make friends in the van. I was at a gas station. I had this old guy come up to me to start a whole conversation. I'm at the trailhead, the parking lot. People are coming up, asking questions about the van. So it's going to be very easy to make friends, to have some conversation going. Hopefully we can have some young single women come up and ask about the van. That would be a bonus. But old guys are people too. One thing that's come up a few times recently is watching the Patreon videos, and people kind of have a bad experience trying to watch the Patreon videos, the extended cuts. They load them up on their phone and it doesn't look right. So my number one suggestion for watching the Patreon videos is to load it up on your desktop. And if you're using your phone, it's going to be a little more wonky. There is a way to use it on your phone, but here we go. I'm going to do some tech support right now. Basically, start on your desktop. You get the email notification that I posted a new video. You click on, whether you want the early cut or the extended cut, and you load that video up. Now, you've got to be logged in. So you've got to be logged into your YouTube account, or else none of this is really going to work. So if you're logged into your YouTube account, the second you click on any video, it goes into your history. So then, if you're logged in on your TV, or if you're logged in on your phone, or if you're logged in somewhere else, you can always go to your history, on your YouTube history, as long as you don't watch 1,000 videos after this, and you should be able to easily find extended cut van build video, like from your history. So it's a little bit of a rigmarole. So if you're on your phone and you get the email from Patreon, and then you click early cut or extended cut, or if you're on the Patreon app, I'm not sure exactly what happens, when you click those links. If you click YouTube links on your phone, your phone should be smart enough to open the YouTube app on your phone, but it doesn't always happen. So it makes it a little complicated. Hopefully this helps at least one person, because I get a decent amount of comments like, hey, I can't watch, this is kind of weird. This looks weird. Like, why is it broken, kind of thing. And if you're watching on your phone, you're not going to get 4K. Your phone only goes up to 1080p unless you're, first, as far as I know, at least on my iPhone, my big bad, I have like the max iPhone, so if it went up higher, it probably would. And we're not going to get too far in the weeds here, but there are ways. Just make sure you're signed in everywhere and use your history. All right, let's get these questions going. We've got a ton of questions. I always do kind of a cursory glance at the questions, and I feel like this month is going to be fantastic. Just so many good ones. Let's start it off with Chris Johnson. Out of all the countries traveled to so far, where was your favorite to eat? Spain is still my favorite to eat. It's just so cool to show up to these cafes and you have the menu del dia, the menu of the day, and you pick like a starter, which really isn't a starter because it could be like mac and cheese or like fries, or there's some good meaty options for the starter. And then you pick the main course with this like lomo, pork, or hamburger, or whatever like the main course is, kind of the bigger things, a couple eggs and fries. And then you get a little dessert, and it's like 12 euros, $13 or something like that. It's just really cool that it's just everywhere. Everywhere has this, and it's just a really neat thing. I just love the meat and potatoes, carne y patata. The Crashing Dad is wondering if I have any plans to do future Wheels Down episodes, like that amazing Austin, Texas vid. Right now, no plans. I actually just wrote up a little 2019 year in review, which I'll be sending a link out once the van build video goes live on Tuesday, because it kind of has that encapsulated in it. But I wrote about this in the 2019 year in review that, I love the idea. I still love the concept, but I just didn't like the execution of having a cameraman. I think is the requirement. But man, it took so long. It's so much. It was like real TV, where it's like everything took hours and hours and hours, and retake, and this has to be perfect. I would much rather do like run and gun. I still need a camera person. I still need someone shooting me and whoever I'm talking to. But to do it like Alex was the guy, Alex Witkowitz, who I met in Tibet actually, who we kind of got chatting, or like, hey man, what would be like your dream project? And it's like, oh, like an Anthony Bourdain MTB thing. And it's like, oh, that's my dream project too. And but man, it's like the next step. We did the Austin one, and we're like thinking about doing a different one. And he's like, okay, but this time we need an audio guy. We need like a producer. We need like, it's like, oh man, we need too many people. Like we're going to have like this is going to end up costing like 20 grand or something, when it's like, you got to pay me, you got to pay him, you got to pay the gopher, you got to pay the audio guy. Then you got to pay somebody to cut it together. You got to pay a colorist to make sure all the color is good. And it's just like, this is not YouTube, it's too highly produced, which is cool if I had money to burn and time to put in. If that Wheels Down episode had like 100,000 views within the first couple weeks, that was kind of going to be my thing. Like, okay, this actually busted out. This actually, grabbed people's attention. But it got like 60,000 views, and it's been hovering at 60,000 views forever. Like it totally plateaued like immediately. Like it did pretty good, and then nobody watches it, nobody shares it, nobody talks about it, nobody comments on it. So I love the idea. If I'm able to, things go the way I want them to go. I'm just so anal about trying to hire a person. Like the only person I ever want to hire and actually work with is my brother, and that's not going to happen because he has the golden handcuffs. And so someday I'll hopefully find somebody that I actually like working with, that I can trust implicitly, and that that can hold the camera, that can give really good ideas, doesn't necessarily need to be in front of the camera. That is fine too. But I just need to meet the perfect woman. That's what this is all going to be. She's going to be the perfect filmer. Just get some good thumbnails in there, van life thumbnails. But yeah, I really like the concept. I think it is a fantastic concept that I can like wash and repeat and do and run and have a whole extra life on this channel if I'm able to nail that concept. It's really just about finding the perfect partner to make it happen, because it would require a collaboration. Reactive mountain biking. Now that you've got the camper kit installed in the van, what are your plans concerning this new chapter, as well as the direction of your channel? Well, the plan for 2020 is to not have a plan. It's to just go out on the road, to drive around, and I've got a very lofty goal of riding in all 50 states. I think that might be the kind of the story behind next year, of just how am I going to get to all 50 states, show off the best trails, like at least one of the best trails in every state kind of thing. And, there's only 52 weeks in a year, and there's 50 states. So that is a hard-pressed, fast, go schedule. Getting a little more culture in, showing a little bit more of the towns and the history and the food it's always something on my mind, and it's not always something that's easy to pull off. It's something you need a whole extra day for set aside. So now that I have the van, I feel like I'm going to have a little more time to be embedded in places. If it happens to be raining, boom, I can get some stuff done. The whole thing is my setup, which has worked somehow, some way. I would fly into a place, I would ride for 3 or 4 days, and then I'd fly home. And that is really cutting it close. That's really no margin for error. And really, there's no time for anything but riding. So hopefully with the van, I'll have a little more time to be in and embedded and kind of explore a little more. Wade Robbins wants to know what trend in the YouTuber mountain biker community is getting old and needs to be freshened up. All of it. I mean, I'm just as guilty as you guys of not watching any mountain bike content. Like I some things catch my eye and I'll watch them. I always watch Seth. I have my notifications on. I always watch Alex. I can get through those videos most of the time. Not always. Even those videos I can't always get through. I'm just like everyone else of backyard trail builds. I like that guy. I like watching his stuff. I haven't watched the past couple episodes. It's so funny because, back to the comment earlier on about, the views are low, the comments are low, and, people making excuses about, people are busy around the holidays. It's like such horse shit, because everyone has time to watch The Mandalorian or Rick and Morty or whatever the latest thing is, to Sunday football, or listen to this, or there's no argument to be had that people are busy around the holidays. Good stuff. Good content always gets watched. It always gets viewed. Seth is getting 1 million views within a week on all his videos. There's no excuse for anyone else. You just got to make good stuff that people like. And, off the top of my head, I listened to the Joey podcast recently. That's Paul the Punter, Shane the Crashing Dad, and Josh from Daily Mountain Bike Rider. And I dig a good podcast where there's good banter going back and forth. So I've listened to a couple of those, but like I've said a couple times now, they've been eating. And every time I tried to listen to that friggin' podcast, they were eating. And I'm like, you have no respect for your audience if you're eating in your podcast. Like, it's just the worst. So I kind of gave them the hammer about that, and they haven't been eating the past couple of podcasts, and I've been able to listen to it, and hopefully a couple other people have been able to listen to it because of that. Iron Cutter MTB is curious if I've thought about doing a video on how you plan your riding routes, your driving routes, your hotel, your camping spots. All of that stuff is kind of interesting, but it's not, there's nothing to it. It's like you look up on booking.com and you find a hotel that's near where you want to go. It's all very, to me, it's all very done. But Trail Forks with finding places to ride, it's very much like I'll be the one to show you guys what the great trails are, and then you just have to figure out how to get there. So, Sentier-du-Moulin in Quebec and all that stuff. You just look up Quebec City. Okay, how do I rent a car? Do I need to bring my bike? I'll show you the good places to ride. You just have to figure out how to get there. And nowadays, you can Google flights, you can Google rental cars, you can Google, all hotels and all that stuff. And there isn't much mystical to it. Like, hey, if you're a camper, then you try to find some camping sites. So I think it's all Googleable, and Google is your friend. Derek Burtonshaw wants to know what keeps me motivated to keep riding. He says, I know the channel helps, but you ride almost every day. I don't ride almost every day. Well, when I'm out, on a trip to Spain, we are riding almost every day for sure. But that's just part of the job. Like the motivation to ride is that I don't want to go back to a normal job. I love this. I love putting all my passion and energy into this. Like there's no other option now. Like this is just too good. It's too fun having all of you here to support me, to like fuel me, to give me ideas, and to just to entertain and inform, inspire. It's the best. So the motivation is, yeah, great. I could go to McDonald's. I could go work like a normal job, and I just can't do it. There's just no possible way I could ever go back to a normal job. So it's get out of the bed and go and ride and make sure you're fit enough and strong enough. And yeah, that motivation. I don't know where it comes from, but I think that's it. It's just like I have a family full of blue collar workers. People that get up early and go to work, commute 2 hours each way, and that was always something I would be willing to do, like, because that's the way it is. But I found a way to not do that, to work with my mind and work with my voice more than hard labor. Even though bike riding's hard, it is. It's a little hard on the body, but not really. It's actually kind of nice. I was thinking about that the other day. How I have all these little weird injuries and stuff. Nothing that I ever like really talk about or complain about, but I feel great. Like everyone talking about stretching and all this other stuff, being sore. I never do. I'm like always good to go. Curtis Lee says that my channel has been his motivation, and he may have given up on riding if he hadn't found it. Wow, that is the ultimate compliment, man. I love that. He's interested where I'm going to take the channel, and one thing would be great to see your conversations mid-ride. It's very interesting. I love the idea of I do my best to talk to the people I'm with while I'm riding, but honest to goodness, you may not believe this, but 90% of the people can't really interact or talk on camera. When the camera's off, they have big personalities and they're like totally interactive and everything, but when the camera's on, they're not able to like really do it. And even YouTubers I ride with, it's the same way. Like turn the camera off and they're making all these jokes and they're like da, 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 da. And then the camera's on, it's like, okay, we're gonna come around this bend here. It's like kind of the craziest thing in the world, where I think people meet me and I'm a little more reserved, and then the camera comes on, I'm like, all right, let's go. It's showtime. Like let's like really knock this out of the park. So I always want to joke around and make good content with the people I'm with, but I know how to read a room, and I know that 90% of people are mortally afraid of being on camera, of public speaking, of doing that. So I give people their space, and I try not to embarrass people or make people look bad. And yeah, so that's one thing for the coming year where I think there might be another question about this, but yeah, finding subjects, finding people that are kind of a little more extroverted and that can kind of roll with the punches and joke around. That's why the videos with me and Alexander are some of the best videos, because he can roll with the punches. We can talk. We can always add to each other and goof around and have fun and ride really well. He's a better rider than me, so we're always pushing each other. So all these little bits and pieces add up to a very solid 100% awesomeness. Steven Alexander is new to the whole community. Welcome, Steven. It's always cool to know that people are always joining, and I like when people kind of raise their hands and say, hey man, I just found you. Like I know I haven't been around here from the start, but I love that. It's so cool that new blood is always coming in, and he was curious about I'm totally overwhelmed. How do I find like where you've been and who you've ridden with and these locations, and maybe you want to go on a guided trip? So one of the best places is to go on my map. So I just updated my map. I'll have a link in the description. It's 412 dots on this map of places I've been, all by location. You can look at the map and click on the videos. Within those videos, if it is a guided trip, unless I made an error, unless I forgot to put the link, there's always going to be a link to the guiding company. If it's just some dude I rode with, they're not a guiding company. I'm not going to put a link into Mr. Tonka, because Mr. Tonka, Joe from Florida, isn't going to probably take you out on a ride. But if it's a company, if they do it as a business, the link will 99% be in the description. If I forget it on one ride, it'll probably be on the next ride if it's a series of videos. So check that out. And I'll have the link to my map in the description. That map is friggin' amazing. You may or may not notice, but for every video I do, I basically upload 3 videos. I have the extended cut, I have the early cut, and I have the YouTube version. So my video count, like when I look at how many videos I've uploaded, it's like 1,000 videos or something. So to know that on the map, when I look at the map, there's 412 videos. That's so cool because I really had no idea how many rides I've done. And even the map, I don't have everything on the map. That's not every video I've done because there's plenty of videos where it's like I'm in the shed, or I even kind of left off some videos where it's like illegal trails that people wouldn't be able to do. There's a couple of those that I'll just leave it off the map because it's not really relevant. It's not something that people could look at and be like, oh, I want to go ride there. So 412, that's freaking crazy. You guys made it possible. Blue Suede can't seem to articulate any of his questions under 100 words, so enjoy the van. That's okay, man. There's plenty of long-ass questions here. You could do it. You can work on it. I appreciate these questions. Justin Heim says, the quantity of videos that I'm putting out is insane and so appreciated. I look forward to every Tuesday and Thursday, and when I miss a few, I binge. It motivates me to get off my ass and ride, even in the frigid Wisconsin November. That's so cool. Keep it up, man. I'll try to comment more because we're all human and need feedback. Yeah, and I just love the feedback. I rely on the feedback, and I kind of talked about this earlier, that it's comments, it's views, everything goes hand in hand with me making good videos. But I love that the whole idea that you guys look forward to Tuesday and Thursday, and that I've set up an expectation that every Tuesday and Thursday you have something to look forward to. For me, I've got a few different things. Like Sunday is Rick and Morty, but that's usually on pretty late, so I probably don't watch it till Monday. I think Two Bears, One Cave. It's a podcast with Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura. I think that comes out on Monday. Tuesdays with Stories. That's an awesome podcast. So I've got all these little things like throughout the week that are like little, 1 hour, listen to them on the side, kind of little entertainment that I look forward to. So I want to be a piece of that entertainment that you look forward to. Jeff Cocking wants to know, pumpkin or pecan pie? I am so not a fan of pumpkin pie. It's just a weird, kind of gross to me. I just don't get it. And then pecan pie, I don't even know if I've even had pecan pie or pecan. But so I guess I'm going to go with pecan pie. I think I may have had a slice before, and I think it's pretty good. Bill Swartzwelder with a pretty nice question. When I start traveling with the van, do you think mingling more with your viewers and perhaps writing less technical stuff with average riders could add to your Patreon base and perhaps grow your community/commenters? I think this is a very interesting question, and I actually don't think so. It's like, I think I have to make the best videos possible, and that means riding the toughest trails and having the most excitement, I think. And I get where this question is, where it's like, if I'm out like kind of canvassing, if I'm out campaigning, if I'm out like, hey, I'm riding your trails, come ride with me, we're going to ride the blue trails, we're going to go slow, it's going to be a group ride. And I like that idea, and I probably will try my best to do that next year at some point. Definitely Brown County State Park in Indiana. That's the only one I'm committing to do a Patreon group ride next year. But as long as the day is fun and the people are fun and the trail is fun, it doesn't have to be a Black Diamond Trail to have a fun day. We all know that. But and the food is good and the story is complete. Like, that's the thing. There's certain videos, I'm sure you guys can think of certain videos where it's like, man, that was a super cool day, and who knows if I even had riding in it or not. So there's always good ways to make great videos. But in my mind, in my heart, I would always lean towards harder, more technical trails as the common denominator, as the support, versus leaning on random people that I don't know, that I'm not sure if they're going to be able to carry the video. Like if I had to decide on what's going to carry the video, hard, tough trails that are, I know that can carry the video, my excitement, my trepidation, versus people I'm not sure, like, okay, can you talk? Can you shuck and jive? Can you dance? Can you actually kind of make this video super interesting? Like that, it's very tough to rely on personalities for a video versus a tough trail. So if I had to decide, I always would rely on tough trails to carry it. I hope that answers your question, and I'm happy to go back and forth in the comments of this podcast. And if you have any questions for next month, save them, write them down and save them. Because if you ask a question on this thread, I'll just answer it, and we'll continue a dialogue. Because you guys know I'm always here. I'm always in the comments, and I always appreciate your back and forth. Feldy Bikes wants to know, can I ask multiple questions? No. Johannes Rorl wants to know, are you still setting up your suspension by default? Yes, I am. Every once in a while, I'll do like 2 clicks one way or 2 clicks the other way just to kind of see like what's happening and what it feels like, and I never feel any difference. So I am still completely ignorant as to my suspension, and someday I'll get in there and play with it. Ingo Hess wants to know, do you think that the time of mainly POV MTB channels is coming to an end? Alex stopped doing it. You seem to be getting less feedback on your POV videos. Do you think about adapting or mixing it up a little more? You know, I honestly don't think that that POV is dead and that it's coming to an end, because I still think when it's a good video, when there's good riding, it captures the trail so much better. It captures the moment so much better than anything else. And then when there's an interaction, when there's personalities, when there's joking, when there's a good vista, it captures it way better than some, like, okay, we're going to go grab this third-person shot. We're going to go grab this third-person shot. It's also fake. When you start doing stuff that's not POV, it just is so fake, and it takes hours and hours, and it doesn't capture the moment. And I think POV is still amazing to capture the moment. The thing is that I have been lucky enough to roll the dice. Every time I go out, I roll the dice of like, hey, I hope this is a decent video. I hope I can get a thumbnail out of this. I hope I can get a title out of this. And I think, in the UK, boom, every single video, super popular. People loved it. That was 2018. Boom, this year, 2019, Czech Republic. Every video, super popular. People loved it. And those are all rolling the dice. Everything was rolling the dice. And then Japan, not so much. Like, people kind of liked it. But I think, there's an art to this whole thing. And a lot of it is how much control I have. And the more control I have over, okay, I know this is a good trail. I know this person I'm riding with is going to give me a lot and balance it out. Even if the trail sucks, I can bounce ideas off and joke with this person. And then it's just if the thumbnail and title are decent. That's 90% of this game, is getting you guys to actually be interested, even on Patreon. That's what I'm saying before, where we've got 1,500, 1,300 people here and 400 people watch. It's because they saw the title and they saw the thumbnail and they're like, I'm not interested. So clickbaiting is basically the key to everything. The Ben Cathro video, me and him riding in Sentier-du-Moulin, like super cool video, super tough trails. Ben is like super funny. I got coached through a big drop and all this stuff. And I think that video did okay. Not as good as I would hope, because I thought that was like one of the best videos of the year. Like super cool, just a total like thrilling from start to finish. So if you really, really think about it, I think the quality of the videos is still good. Some of them, of course, there's going to be some winners, some losers. I don't have control over every single one. I'm really rolling the dice on almost every single one. But there's so many of them that are so good. And the thumbnail and the title is what is completely the difference. That's the only thing that matters to get people to watch. We live in a world of clickbait and intriguing people, and you guys are just as guilty as anyone else. I'm just as guilty as anyone else of like, that doesn't look interesting. But I will stick to it till the day I die. If the videos are good, people will watch, people will share. It's just, there's no excuse. There's like, I can see that people can get kind of tired, like, okay, it's just another Spain video, because all the Spain video thumbnails look the same, all the titles are kind of the same, and that wears on you because you don't know, wait, did I already watch that one, or is that a new one? So I know that's kind of what happens. I think that's kind of what happens, the psychology of the YouTube user. Will Desmond wants to know, is there anything this year that you wish you had done that you did not get the chance to do and hope to accomplish next year? Man, it's always my fitness. Every year around this time, like January, I make a video about like, hey, I'm going to take my fitness seriously this year. And then it just always falls by the wayside. I did pretty good with CrossFit this year, but CrossFit doesn't transfer as well to mountain biking as you would hope, even though goddamn cardio is so insane. It's so tough, but yeah, it's just not the same. So every year it's the same. It's riding my bike more to actually train myself up more, to actually get in better shape, and to just feel really dominant and good on the bike. Mike Weaver wants to know, even though you're out of XC racing after BC Bike Race, have you ever thought of doing a 24-hour race? Oh, no. That is just crazy. I know you can do like teams and you can switch off and that kind of stuff, but that's XC on steroids, man. That is not XC. That is XC. That's XC to the millionth. But I think it'd be kind of a cool thing to experience and see and to watch, maybe. Come down and say hi. Watch Lance Armstrong go by. Tony Mosa has a question about trail forks. Where do you draw the line? Do you add connectors, unsanctioned trails, and things that make trail forks useful, or do you just carefully only add proper mountain bike trails? Connectors, yes. I do add connectors, and there's actually like a little a checkbox where you can designate that it is a connector trail, because there's all these, so I'm looking all over the country, and I'm looking at Alabama and Mississippi and Louisiana, and some of the top rated trails in those places are connector trails that people hadn't actually like switched off. So like they have the most traffic because it's one way in, one way out. So yeah, mark it as a connector trail. I never try to put unsanctioned trails unless it's my area. So in Benicia territory, the downhill trail that I do all the time, to my knowledge, that's an unsanctioned trail. But if I look at Google Earth, it's been there since like 2001. So it's been there like almost 20 years. So, if the trail's been there for like 20 years, there's no signs. It's very ridden. I take care of it. I'll put it on there. I have a name, but if you got to make sure you're almost talking with the trail builders themselves before you put a trail on trail forks. So I consider myself the trail builder on the Benicia territory downhill because I don't know anybody else who takes care of the trail. There might be other people that take care of it, but I'm the only one I think that actually goes out there and cuts and works on it. So that's that's how I see it. But yeah, as much information as you can add to trail forks, the better. And I've put this out to you guys before, but one of the main ways I'm going to look at where I'm going to go next year all over the country is trail forks and what's the highest rated trail. And if the trail isn't even on trail forks, if it isn't rated, then I might not see it. I do have a plan to kind of hit up all the mountain bike clubs of places that I'm going to go. So, the mountain bike clubs will know the best trails and all that stuff. So, yeah. So put them in there, get in trail forks, become active. I think it's a very cool platform for us and for us travelers, for people like, oh, there's a trail here. I'm going to go do this. And if it's rated well, and if it has good information and good description, it helps everyone, I think. Active Life wants to know if there's any advice for someone preparing for a multi-day trip. I ride a day or two a week locally, but I think going on a multi-day trip is much different. It's not much different. It really isn't. Like, as long as you're in decent enough shape, and I don't even know what decent enough shape means, if you can ride with a group and not be, lagging behind, like if you're in a group ride and everybody's doing good and you're there with them, I think you're fine. There's always someone that shows up on these Chasing Epic trips. There's always one person that just can't hack it. There's always a person that didn't really take it seriously. Like, I always announce these trips 6 months in advance. So 6 months is a damn good amount of time. If you want to change your life, if you want to change your attitude, if you want to change the way you look and the way you feel, you can do it in 6 months. You really can. And but there's always one guy that just shows up, and basically after the first mile or two, they can't hack it. They can't keep up, and they turn around, and then sometimes we never see them again. Don't be that guy. Take it seriously and do your best. Like it's you don't have to be my level of that I could ride 10 days in a row and not be sore and all that stuff. That's different. Like I've adapted to that, just like a pro rider is fast, going downhill trails. Like they've adapted to that. That's their style. That's their expertise. You just have to be decent. Like that's all there is to it. You got to, bring some nutrition, bring some, bars, bring what you like, what you thrive off of. Steve from Chasing Epic usually does a pretty good job of having like a little goodie bag for all of us with bars and different nutrition stuff. But you best. And if you are dreading it, if you feel like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to keep up, that might actually be better because if you are worried, then you don't have to worry. I heard that recently on a podcast. Ray Dalio was talking about the people that worry actually don't have to worry because they're always in that mindset like, oh, okay, I gotta do better. They're actively trying to avoid the pain. Don't take it too seriously, but don't take it lightly. Jerry B, he's been on a few Chasing Epic trips. I love riding with Jerry. He's a great guy. How much of what you do these days, whether it be riding or business decisions, is outside your comfort zone? Man, what a deep question. I love it. Not enough. I would always say not enough with the riding. I actually a couple times recently, I've pushed myself a little bit, get the heart pumping, and then boom, you do it and you're like, okay, I cleared that. I did that. That's not too bad. It helps. Like my local trail's Rockville. A couple days ago, I went for a ride, and I actually kind of pushed myself to go down this trail called Cave Trail. Super slippery and dusty, and I did it probably faster than I've ever done it before. And I was like, okay, that feels good. And I went down this rock roll awkward thing that has crazy roots at the bottom. Did that, and it wasn't too bad. And yeah, it's good. It's good with these little confidence boosters and builders in your riding, at least. And then you're like, okay, the bike can take this. I can take this. But with the business, man, yeah, you know what? There actually are some business things getting pushed outside my comfort zone that I'm working on. Always working on stuff in the background, which who knows if I'll be able to talk about it in a year or 10 years or whatever it is eventually. So there's always stuff. But for my videos, I don't think I've really pushed my comfort zone with my videos, with trying something totally different, a video idea that's totally outside the box. So it kind of gives me good food for thought that maybe I need to take some more risks. One-Eyed MT Beer, just wishing you and your family happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, man. Keep missing you at Rockville. Send me an email. That's what it's all about. If you send me an email, I might be able to go ride. It doesn't work 9 out of 10 times, but 1 out of 10 times it might work, and we might be able to ride. Phoenix Matt wants to know, when will the Tour de USA start? I don't actually know. It's definitely going to be, I guess it'll be January. I guess. I'm not 100% sure. I'll probably get a few little things in January. Southern California is probably where I'm going to be starting because it'll be nice and warm. The trails will be perfect and all that stuff. And, but it's going to be tough trying to figure out, okay, it's like, what do you call it? Jumping jacks or jump rope when you're doing like double Dutch and you're like, okay, I'm looking. Am I going to jump in now? I'm going to jump in. I guess I don't have to take it that seriously, but I kind of feel like, okay, once I set out on the voyage, it's going to be a while before I come back home. So I want to figure out the right way to do that. So I don't know. That's the answer. I don't actually know. Andrew Brannon really wants me to ride the best trail in all 50 states. It's very subjective. That's the thing. It's like I'll use Trail Forks, maybe I'll use the local mountain bike club, but then I also kind of want to, go off the beaten path a little bit. I know there's some stuff in Alabama where it's like, okay, I've been to Coldwater, but what about Huntsville? Like there's a bunch of stuff on Trail Forks. So, I don't think I'm going to say the best trail in every 50 states, but I'm just going to say I rode in all 50 states. That'll be for 2021. I'll ride the best trail in all 50 states because it's so subjective and very, why not stir the pot? Why not have people get mad at me? Maybe I will say it's the best. This is the best trail. Just just to have something for people to complain about, like my mustache. Yeah, Andrew, there's so much in Colorado. He's hoping to lure me out to the Front Range. Yeah, I have not explored any of that stuff. I did one ride in Colorado Springs last year with Alex, so there's a lot to do. Stephen Anthony Lyons wants to know if I prefer the Orbea or the Ibis for Spain. I just like the Ibis right now. It's the best climbing bike. It's descending perfectly fine. The Orbea is in such a shambles right now. I always would love to compare, like hop on and go ride the Orbea, see what it feels like. Hop on the Ibis, see what it feels like. But I'm not going to do it because it's like there's so many parts missing from the Orbea now that yeah, so I'm just not a bike reviewer. Despite my early videos where I tried to do my best to kind of talk about bikes and stuff, I have no comfort. I have no expertise, even comparing two different bikes. Like, I'm clueless, and I am not ashamed to say it, but I am ashamed that it's like, shouldn't I actually know what I'm talking about at this point? But I don't. Arvid Richter wants to know, how well do you think you can cope with solitude in remote places while on a road trip in the van? Very good question. And I think it's actually kind of a funny question because when I'm out on a trip and I'm riding with people, like, it won't be solitude. It'll be way more interaction and way more activity than I have at home. I'm way more lonely at home. Like, I have my family and I always do like family dinner like once a week, Saturday night, but most of the time I'm just here alone at my house feeling sorry for myself, especially if I like have a lull. Like, I have to be working and busy or else I just like go into a hole of like, pretty lonely out here all by myself. That's why I do these live streams and comments and everything. Like, it's a sad situation. So it's more lonely at home all by myself in the Nugatorium than out on the road. If I'm out on the road riding with people, it's going to be interacting. It's going to be good. So, yeah, much more lonely right here, right now. Jason Thomas wants to know, since I'm planning to go travel the U.S. and discover new places, is there an element of trepidation that some places may not meet expectations and not be worth filming? You know what? I don't worry about that too much, and maybe I should, but because I always know there's always a next one. There's always a next one. So like I discussed earlier on in the podcast, like, I'm very, I do my best research on, and try to like vet people, and I do my best to set myself up for, success, like beforehand, to try to make sure everything's going to go right. But even if it doesn't go right, it's okay. I do 2 videos a week. When I used to work at the newspaper, that's where I learned. I worked at the Napa Valley Register in Napa after I graduated college in Chico. So we did a newspaper every damn day. You cannot be obsessed about, oh man, that wasn't that great. You have another paper to put out tomorrow. You have to keep going. So volume helps with not worrying about perfection. And that's like this whole balance that I live in. So if I did 3 videos a week, hey, I could have even more throwaway videos, and boom, one good one might hit. So I don't worry about that too much because there's always going to be another state. There's always going to be another riding destination. There's always going to be more to see and more to do and more to have fun with. And I'm pretty good about not obsessing about that. And that's the tough thing about Seth and Alex now making less videos, is like, you obsess and you want it to be perfect, and you're like, oh, if this doesn't hit, then you feel bad. But I have a little bit of a luxury to be like, that kind of sucked that one went down. But when 3 weeks in a row they all suck, it's like, oh God, here we go. That is a great question though, Jason, because that's part of the unknown. That's part of the adventure that like, oh man, I can't find a good trail. It's all flat out here. This Louisiana sucks. Daniel Goodenow wants to know, other than chicken nuggets, do you have a go-to pre-ride meal when you're riding locally? I just always kind of try to eat a normal, steady breakfast. My go-to breakfast is 4 eggs, fried, like in olive oil, and then usually some spinach, just kind of sauteed in olive oil as well. Not a ton of olive oil. You just kind of put a ton of spinach in a separate pan. You cook that. It cooks down to like nothing. And then I get a couple tortillas, and I'll heat those tortillas up, and I'll put 2 eggs and some spinach in a tortilla and have 2 of those. And that is usually a pretty good morning breakfast, which causes me to burp, which I keep moving my face away from the mic. And V-Dub actually chimed in with a comment that episode 234 of the Ask a Cycling Coach podcast has some good in-depth information on this topic. So, hey, there you go. Start at the 23-minute, 20-second mark and go straight to the training nutrition stuff. Thanks, V-Dub. I like when people chime in with some good, relevant information. Post-ride, post-workout, I've been trying to drink an Orgain. It's like a protein shake kind of thing. It has some dairy in it, but it's not totally milk. Just getting in some post-workout protein, I think, is pretty good for recovery, and I always try to do it. Kevin Williams says, given a decent internet connection, I think it would be cool to see some live from your destination live streams. Maybe you could do this at the end of a trip, and you could talk about the culture, the overall experience, without giving away too much about the riding. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you too, Kevin. Man, I like this idea, but I cannot help but think it just confuses people so much. Like it's so hard for me to do the live streams when I know I'm in the middle of like a Spain trip or I'm coming back from this and it's like, wait, you're home? I hate that idea of confusing people, but I just got to get over it. Only, 5,000 people watch the live streams. Maybe more sometimes, but it just, the ebb and the flow of like doing a live stream. Yeah, I just like to say it in the videos. If there's something to be said, I like to say it in the videos. If there's a question to be asked, you can always ask it in the comments. I get what you mean. I totally get what you mean, but I need to do more live streams. That's all there is to it. I love that community aspect, but yeah, the continuity of it just completely destroys everything. Like the last live stream before the one I just did yesterday was I Survived BC, and it's like the BC bike race videos hadn't all come out yet, and it's like, okay, we're gonna talk about this, but we can't really talk about this because we have this whole thing, and it's like it really is a hang up for me because there's enough comments and stuff where people are confused. So I'll have to figure it out. I'm happy to hear your ideas and your comments because it's like, I don't know. It's halfway through the trip, like, oh, I don't know. I haven't cracked that conundrum yet. Jessica Terry wants to know if I could do more podcast style live streams. They really helped me on my road trip back home from St. George. Yes, I will try my best. And I think, so I did a Black Friday live stream yesterday or 2 days ago, if you're listening to this on the day of release. And I should have had more topics. I should have had more topics to just kind of talk. I did great. I love those things. And I love when the chat can really step up and really ask good questions and keep the ball rolling. But I should have had a couple more anecdotes and a couple pre-planned stories just to fill in the blanks when there's a lull, because there's always a lull, and it's so funny how at the beginning everybody's like and then an hour in just nobody's giving you anything and you're just like, okay, this is where the real work begins. Adam West with a very excellent question. If it all ended tomorrow for some reason, what job/career would you most like to do other than the amazing one you've built for yourself now? Something I think about. I don't think about this all the time because I really feel like I'm in a very good position. Like I've actually created something real and that I'll always be able to, reinvent myself or change things up. I think I've built something from nothing, and there's always going to be some fertile ground here to actually plow, to reap, to sow, to make sure that I can make a living doing this for a long time. I think we'll see if that's how it turns out. It is still show business, like I said, so very fickle and very hey, on to the next thing. But so if it all ended tomorrow, you know what? The most important thing that I've gotten from all of this is mindset. I had a good mindset going into building this business, and seeing that first Nate Hills video with his gimbal and GoPro, lower Highline in Sedona, and having that light bulb moment right then and there. It's like, hey, I could do this. I could try. At least I could try to do this. The sound was so clear that when I heard that chasing Mr. Hills, that first thing on that video, I'm like, what? You can hear someone clearly talk on a GoPro video. It looks amazing. It's stable. So I had already built myself up enough, confidence and knowing and research on YouTube that YouTube was a thing. And then it was just such serendipity that I had already studied YouTube, that I was already trying to make some kind of thing happen on YouTube. And I saw that video. So then to actually build something from 0 subscribers to where I am now, the mindset, the fact that I foolishly or rightfully believe that I could pretty much do anything. Like the confidence that I already had huge confidence in myself, delusional. I think everyone has to be pretty much delusional to start a YouTube channel or go to Hollywood and try to be an actor. You have to be delusional to be a singer, anything. But there's also talent. There's also super hard work. But you have to just like delusional in the fact that I don't know if it's delusion, but it's like this, only 1 in a billion people actually are able to do this kind of thing. And especially in the mountain bike YouTube world, there's like maybe 7 people doing it full time, maybe more. Okay, I'm getting off on a tangent here. But the most important part is that I believe that I can do it. I'm smart enough that I can make enough connections that even if everything went away tomorrow, I lost everything. Hopefully not my reputation. Like if I lost my reputation, that would be kind of bad. Like, oh, this guy, oh, did you hear what happened to Brian? Oh, but if all of this went away, if I was in a wheelchair, that I know that I could build something from scratch, and that mindset is the most dangerous thing. It's the most important thing, that I could totally find a way, that I've done it before. I can do it again. There's so many opportunities in this world. And that, but yeah, to answer your question, what would I actually do? The specific actual business or whatever, I don't know. But I just know that I could do something. And that, my friends, is the most important thing, to believe. I have a ridiculous belief in myself, even if my videos aren't doing well, and even if I'm not getting as many comments as I want. I've already made it happen, and I know it's possible. And to break out of the you got to go to work and get a job mindset is it's an amazing, fantastic thing. Vincent Gregory wants to know if I got the chance to walk the Caminito del Rey when I was in El Chorro. I did not. So if you don't know what this is, it's like this little skinny path all along this like sheer cliff wall. It's supposed to be really cool, but I heard that you have to book ahead like way far in advance, so I wasn't able to do it. Jeremy Rigby wants to know who turned on the Wu-Tang music when we were at Seth's house working on Alex's van. I think it was Seth. I think Seth is a pretty big Wu-Tang fan, Wu-Tang Clan follower, and Alex as well. Me, not so much. I don't know much of their music. Eric in Reno wants to know about night riding. I have not done many night rides because pretty much all the night riding around here is done illegally, and it just doesn't film for the camera. I know Shane, the Crashing Dad, did a pretty good night riding video recently where the exposure and everything looked pretty decent on his videos, but light is the entire like thing on a video, and when you have no light, it's like it's got to be a damn good video to go night riding. I'd go night riding for fun for sure. But then VDub chimed in the comments that Crockett Hills Regional Park actually has a curfew. They stay open till 10 p.m., which totally blew my mind, because I'm almost vividly remember every time I go, there's a sign that says like, sunrise to sunset. So I went to the East Bay Regional Parks District website, and he's right that the park is closed from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. So, wow, that's like the one legal spot you can go night ride in Northern California that I know of. There might be others. I'd love to hear you guys chime in if there are others. But I know there's guys that night ride at Rockville all the time illegally, and they get chased off by the friggin' sheriffs. And it's like, I don't have time for that bullshit. So yeah, Crockett Hills, you can go for a night ride. And there were mountain lions spotted out there recently. My aunt showed me a picture of 4 mountain lions drinking from a trough at the Crockett Hills, near the Crockett Hills, I think somewhere around there. So yeah, if you want to go take on some kitties, go have at it, baby. VDub says, a few years back, you took a class with MTB skills coach Ian Massey of trail technique. Did any of the techniques you learned from that experience stay with you in the long run? You know, it there's a little bit of mindset that I took from that where if it's hard to explain. So when Andrew from McTrail Rider is behind me filming, you kind of make sure that every move you make is a good one. You know, you're focusing so much more on you're like, okay, how's my posture? Okay, how are my heels? How's my you think harder and you think more, purposefully. You think intentionally. And sometimes I'll think back to Ian Massey and those things of like, oh, okay, if you would just be intentional about your position and your thing and your, okay, straight back, butt back, I heard that's kind of how swimmers, the pro swimmers, the best swimmers, every single stroke is perfect because they work on every single stroke. They don't have time to like, oh, elbows out a little bit too much. Oh, the wrist is rotated too much. So it's like if every single pedal stroke, if every single, pump on your bike was perfect and you had that mindset, I think you'd be better. So that's pretty much what I've taken long term from Ian's teaching. Ooh, oh, it's getting a little cold in here. It is 50 degrees Fahrenheit in the shed right now. We're doing good though. I got the hood on, and I've got this video version. We're back into the video version because I'm back in the shed. I hope you guys enjoy the video version if you watch it on YouTube or if you listen on the Patreon app, or even if you have the RSS feed on Patreon. You can get an RSS feed if you're that nerdy. If you go on the front page of patreon.com/BKXC, it should be on the right side, the RSS feed. Michael Bunker wants to know, if I make it to Seth's house, are you going to hit the airbag? Oh, man. It's possible, but I don't want to get hurt. I've done so well not getting hurt, and it's something that's so far out of my comfort zone, hitting a ramp like that, hitting a lip like that. I saw Paul the Punter did it, and good on him, man. That is so cool, but I am still so far from being comfortable on any kind of jump that isn't just a bump. Mick Wurtzer wants to know, if you had to do it all over again, would you stick with the RAV4 or go Forerunner? I didn't have a choice. I didn't have $40,000 to be able to spend on a Forerunner. So if I had the money at the time or the leverage or felt like, oh God, the gas mileage, I love the Forerunner. I would go with the Forerunner, but the RAV4 was the only option at the time. Now it's like, okay, maybe I could afford it, but it's like, yeah. So in a perfect world, Forerunner all the way, but limited funds and only able to work, so much, RAV4. Charlie C wants to see more culture in the Spain videos. Man, that's the thing. The toughest part about that kind of trip is that there's no downtime. It's just go, 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 go. You ride all day, and that's it. I tried to put in some good food stuff when we stopped for lunch for food, and talk about any history that I was able to. There was a couple good pieces of history, I thought, but yeah, there's just, the trip is about riding. The day is all riding. It's all shuttle van. It is what it is. I do my best to know, oh yeah, that would be great to talk about, and when all we're doing is nose to the grindstone riding, it just wasn't that kind of trip. That's why I hope when I'm in the van, I can get some more of that stuff in, because we were just ride, and that was it. Johnny, or is it Yanni? Saristo wants to know, okay, you're going to do 2020 in the van around the USA. Why don't you do 2021 around Europe? Oh, man, I am very, very intimidated about driving in Europe, about traveling around by myself in Europe. It's just not something I want to do. I love having a guide when I'm in a place that isn't an English language place. The UK, Australia, even South Africa, I think I would feel comfortable enough just going around with a credit card and, making stuff happen, finding people to ride with. But, man, it's very, very intimidating to go to, even Spain, without a guide. It's you still feel awkward, even as much Spanish as I was picking up, and I was able to kind of, make it work. You still feel just so dumb. You feel out of place. You feel like, God, if I was working at some restaurant and some, Spanish person came speaking totally broken English, trying to speak Spanish to me, it'd be like, come on, man. What's the deal? So you got to look both ways. And Yeah, I don't see it happening. I actually don't think I'm adventurous enough to actually do like a Europe road trip where I'm doing a bunch of stuff. I know Eric from BCPOV is. That guy will drop himself into anywhere. So you might see some van road trip stuff from him if he ever makes the van over to Europe. We're going to finish off strong with Gerard Power. Now that you've visited both the north and south of Spain, what part did you like the most? Why are you guys always trying to make me choose what's the best? Why you're always trying to make me choose my favorites? I know, because you guys have limited time, limited money, and actually if you want to do this yourself, you want to, be able to pick the right thing. But you know what? I think Madrid. I think I mentioned it in my last podcast as well, which is central. The north is great, the south is great, but man, there's something about Madrid where there's so much around there. There's tons and tons of trails. It's a plateau that's encircled by mountains. It has the city, and for me personally, like if I was gonna move somewhere, and I'd want to be kind of close to a city, because that's where young attractive women are most of the time. And I'd probably meet someone. That would be great. And then you go out on the trails, and everything's like 45 minutes, an hour away. Boom, boom, boom. So for me, it's Madrid, because there was just so many cool trails out there. But the whole thing is fantastic, top to bottom. Spain, it's just amazing. I'm so lucky that I got to spend all that time, even though nobody watched the videos. All right, folks. Thank you so much. These podcasts, I love it. I love the great questions. My microphone cut off, I guess. Thanks for listening, you guys. I'll see you on the trail.